Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here with Greg and Rachel Denning, who are very cool. They live in Portugal with their giant family, and they are committed to adventure. And they have very specific theories about how adventure works. And it was awesome to talk to them about it. I think you'll be inspired. I sure was. As always, I'm grateful to those of you who are part of our Patreon community. Thank you so much for supporting Marriage Therapy Radio. That is the best way to support the podcast financially, by becoming a member of that community. We have some behind the scenes content over there, and I'm answering listener questions, which will begin to roll out here very shortly. I'm also still writing at Stuff I Write. I missed a couple of weeks, but I got one coming out about dogs, which is kind of fun. If you want to check that out, you can subscribe at stuffiwrite.com. I want to offer a big thank you to Deborah, who sent me a personal note about how the blog and how the podcast has changed her life. So I'm glad to hear about all of that anytime. So thanks, Deborah. And thank you for checking in on this chat with Greg and Rachel. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. You guys have 7 children?
Yeah.
Why do you have 7 children?
Just happened that way, I guess.
We didn't know what was going on. Rachel kept getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, we adopted our first, actually.
Yep.
And then by the time she was 4, we had 3 more kids, and we were like, wow, okay, I can get pregnant.
And that's when we started traveling the world, and we just loved it, man. We love family life.
Yeah. But we
Love it.
thought we were going to stop at 4, and then, I don't know, we just felt like there's some more, and so we had 3 more.
And they range from when to when?
Our oldest right now is 23, and she's married, and then our youngest is 8.
Okay. So 23 is the gal that you adopted.
Yep.
Yes.
And then you had 8 or 7. No, how many? 6 more of your own.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, we stopped at 2. And I'm actually just like sort of fascinated, but what is the actual experience of growing a family and then continuing to grow a family and then how did you know you were done?
I mean, it's weird. I know people talk about it, but it was just like a feeling, like I just knew I was done. When I had my 6th, I looked at her and I said, there's one more. And then I had the 7th and I was like, okay, we're done. I don't know. Yeah, it's
interesting
strange.
intuition. Yeah.
But we love it. I mean, they're literally, it sounds cliche, they're best friends. We have such a good time. It's like having our own miniature little school. And it's just a lot of fun. We just have a really great time. And now our older kids, of course, our 4 oldest are 18, 20, 21, and 23. And I mean, they're just like our best friends. We just have so much fun together.
Yeah.
So
And they're out adventuring right now, too.
Yeah,
they
2
just
of
flew
ours
to
right
Serbia
now.
today.
They were in Norway and then Sweden, and now they're in Serbia right now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
And it seems like that's your thing. You guys, like, adventure is your thing. How do you know? How did you come to that together? Did you like have to recruit one another into that, or did you get lucky and meet somebody who liked adventure the same as you, or
No,
what's the story of that?
Both of us started out like
homebodies.
Yeah, both
like
of
just
us.
happy to have a job and a little house. But we just read voraciously. And so reading exposed us to new ideas. And we're like, well, let's try this.
And you did have a couple of travel experiences, and I'd never had anything. Like I'd never gone anywhere except like Tijuana. And
But I went to South America and Central America, and I was like, we've got to do this as a family. It's so cool.
And so when we had the 4 kids, somehow, like, we just got converted to this idea of like immersion and having them learn another language and reading books. There was some convincing for sure that went on, but it was like, let's do this. Let's try it. Let's go have this international experience.
And the kids loved it and have always loved it. So it became our unique family dream.
Yeah. So what have you learned? What have you experienced? I mean, I'm sure you must have like a collection of like.
We're writing books, man.
Yeah.
We're both writing books because so many lessons.
Yeah.
It's like literally living lifetimes.
Yeah, multiple lifetimes.
Lifetimes of experience. Like, I've forgotten more than, I don't know. Like, it's crazy. I don't even know how to like put it into words of just so many experiences that just stack and stack and stack and stack. So it's fun when we're all together with the kids and we're like pulling up all these memories of like, oh yeah, remember that and that and that and that.
I might be trying too hard right now, but I want to float something that I talk to clients about and see what you think. There's a theory in like relational anthropology that long-term committed relationships are only supposed to last about 3 years. This comes from like Origin of Man, kind of when they were wandering around, survival of the fittest. Like she would ovulate and have sex with like 5 or 6 guys, and the baby would come out and might look like him. So he would hang around for 3 years, and then like baby was fine, and then she's going to have sex with 5 or 6 more guys. And then maybe it looks like him again. Maybe it doesn't. But it was all about like sustainability. And then this pattern, academics have tracked this sort of 3-year thing throughout history, because about 3 years later, you meet somebody and then about 3 years later you get married, and about 3 years later you have a baby, and about 3 years later you have. Do you have an awareness now with kind of all this experience and people, and we got 24 years in the bank, so you're like, it's like 8. It's like 8 3-year cycles for you if you think about it this way. Like, do you have phases that you recognize and you can parse out in the midst of all this adventure? Is that a?
I would say yes. We kind of call them chapters for us.
Yeah.
I would also. It's interesting because as you're talking, I think in a way we live on an accelerated timeline.
Okay.
And he says a lot to our coaching clients, like we collapse time with intensity.
Okay.
And I feel like we've probably slowed down a little bit, but it used to be like every year and a half, there was either a new baby or a move or something. Like we just really.
We wanted to squeeze the juice out of life.
Yeah, we just had this real ambitious energy that it was definitely these cycles and these chapters, but it was almost anywhere from a year and a half to 3 years. But yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Tell me about a couple chapters. Like, do you have a couple of especially notable experiences or chapters that you say kind of would capture you guys, whether it's the ups or the downs?
Yeah, there's definitely been
huge
downs and major ups, of course.
I think one of the biggest ones, maybe the most important ones, when we just, as we were reading so much together, we were introduced to new ideas. And we came from we came from poor families and, just living in the little neighborhood, doing what everybody else is doing. And so unconventional ideas were like this totally foreign, alien thing to us. And I remember being uncomfortable by it, and she would read something and I'm like, no, what are you talking about? That's crazy. People don't do that. Because I didn't know anybody who did that. So one of the coolest chapters, I think the most important, is we finally wrestled our way to this point of like, well, let's live unconventionally. Let's kind of be nonconformist. Let's question like the big systemic things. Let's question societal expectations. And why not kind of draft and design our own unique, extraordinary family life? And then stepping into that was terrifying. We were terrified, and we were so excited. We'd tell people about it, and they're like, "You're crazy. What are you doing? Don't do that." I thought people would be as excited for us, and we thought they would want to join, but they're like, "No, don't do that." And so we felt like this separation from tradition and convention.
Was there a moment or a book or like a Pandora's box that did that to you? Like, how did you first wake up to that notion coming from where you came from?
There was a Pandora's box.
Yeah, there definitely was. For me, at least, there was this book that I found at like a secondhand store.
I love it.
And it was just it was like the most boring book, but it was like, create your financial life or something. And to me, it was like so mind-blowing, like, what? Because I just thought, rich people were born rich and poor people are born poor, and there's nothing you can do. And so that was mind-blowing. That really kind of helped me think, well, wait a second. You mean like people can design their life? They can like make it what they want it to be? Really? And then when I was pregnant with my fourth, well, that helped us to start investing in real estate and stock market. And so, we were doing better. And then when I was pregnant with my fourth, he took me on like a second honeymoon to Mexico. And that was my first time going anywhere. And you didn't even need a passport back then, just the birth certificate. And while we were there, I call it like a spiritual experience, but just because it was like this connection with humanity where I'm sitting there surrounded by Mexican people and I'm like, wow, like
Mm-hmm.
humanity, we're all connected. We're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I want my kids to have this experience. And so that was a pivotal moment because we literally went back to the all-inclusive resort and I was like, Greg, let's move to Mexico. And he was just like, okay, let's do it. And we made that decision. Now we knew I had to have a baby. So we went back and had the baby and we started preparing and selling everything and packing up our stuff. And in the meantime, we're convinced by some friends to move to Costa Rica instead.
Okay.
And then once she was 3 months old and now she's the 18-year-old that's in Serbia right now. We drove from Utah to Costa Rica. And that was our initiation. Like that was our baptism by fire. It was
Greg,
crazy.
would you say the same thing when you're like, yep, there was a pandemic? Is it this trip? Is it Mexico trip or is it something else?
So that was like the catalyst to really make it happen. Before that, it was just books and ideas. Because there's that famous quote that says, mind once expanded can never return to its former dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And her reading, she read those books and then she introduced those ideas and I started toying with it and I couldn't let go of them. And I was afraid. I was like, how am I going to provide? And what's it like? And do they even have diapers in Costa Rica?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a paved road? Like, I don't even know. And so there was all these unknowns, but the ideas just wouldn't go. I mean, once a possibility was planted, we're like, we've got to pull on that string and see what happens so that we can design our unique family life.
Mm-hmm.
I come at it almost from the opposite direction, particularly when I'm working with clients, because the quote that you just quoted, it's almost the opposite, which is your brain can't work on things it can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you guys aren't currently working on a novel about kids who in their adolescence get whisked away to a wizard school and they play a sport that never existed. And they, there's an old guy who like kind of wanders around the castle and he's big and hairy and but J.K. Rowling started imagining this thing and then started working on it. Right. And so it's like I think the thing that my clients run into most often when they come in pain is that they can't imagine being happy. They can't imagine being restored. They can't imagine being healthy. And so it sounds like
they can't see it. They can't visualize it.
Yeah, until they do.
Yep.
And it sounds like when you started to, you couldn't not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like, what would it be like for us to be a happy, adventurous, joyous family? And then all of a sudden you couldn't avoid working on that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many lessons. Do you have one or two that are like hip pocket? I'm interested in particularly about how you weathered the things that were hard.
Well, as he was talking, I thought of another story that was a turning point because we did that. We embarked on it and it was hard, especially because it was kind of in those years when like blogging was brand new. We were barely on Facebook. Like we didn't even have a smartphone when we started traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had this vague idea of like working online because it was brand new, but it still wasn't like there wasn't a lot of possibilities.
It wasn't really viable.
Right. And so we actually reached a super low point when I was pregnant with our sixth and like dead broke. Dead broke. Like we literally had nothing. Like all we had
Where are you?
We were in Nicaragua.
Okay.
But we'd had all these like little streams of income and it was working well. And then
it was getting us by.
Yeah, and they all dried up simultaneously. It was like this moment the universe was just like
and then we literally spent like our last Cordoba in Nicaragua and we're like, we literally have nothing. And it was this point where like we turned to each other and we're like, we're crazy. What are we doing? We have 6 kids. Like we can't do this. We need to be responsible. We need to do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
We need to just go back and get jobs and like give up on this crazy dream. And so we kind of decided to do that. The only thing we had was this truck that we'd been overlanding with. We'd started in Alaska and we're like, let's just sell the truck, buy tickets back. We'll move in with your mom because what else are we going to do? And so he called his mom to ask her, can we move in with our 5 kids and my pregnant wife, And she said, hell no.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like that saved us. We were like, okay, we just have to figure it out then. Like we have no other option. We can't go back because we don't have enough money.
To save us.
Nobody's coming to save us. And so it was almost like this was the rock bottom. We just have to figure it out. And like literally from there, it's just gone uphill because we realized there was no other option. We just had to make it work.
Mhm.
So,
And through it all, though, like one big takeaway for me is through it all, through the ups and downs, like our marriage was good. Our relationship with our kids were good. We were
Mhm.
super healthy. And we just kept focusing on that. It's like, those are the most important things.
Mhm.
Those are the best
Mm.
things. So when things were great, when things were hard, when we're in unknown places, whatever's going on, it's like, no, the things that matter most, we keep those in a great state, a great condition,
Mm.
and we can get through anything together.
yeah, that was definitely something that kept us going because, and I don't even know where I heard this, but I remember hearing one time this story about, well, if everyone took all their troubles and challenges in the world and put them into a pile, you would end up picking the same ones you have. And I remember thinking
Mhm.
that, well, yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, we're struggling financially. We're trying to figure this out. But I'd still pick that if I had to because the marriage is good, the kids are good, like we're healthy.
Mhm.
And so I always just felt like, okay, that part's hard, but I'd still pick that. We just have to we just have to figure that part out. And so having that was definitely comforting, I
Mhm.
guess, throughout it all.
Yeah, you're kind of coming back to. It's almost like I want to like have your sound bites on like just like you know how like when you're doing a radio show and they press a button and it's like a fart sound or something and it's like or like a womp womp. I need like and then when it was hard, we decided to focus on the most important thing. I tell people all the time, you have that choice every time. If you're in an argument and the most important thing is winning, then focus on that and you can win the argument. Like you can. If the most important thing is figuring out how this argument affects us financially, focus on that and then you'll come up with a spending decision. But the most important thing is to stay connected to each other.
Yeah.
You'll ebb and flow. You'll in and out. You'll kind of come in and go, oh, this is getting a little too tense. I should back out now. Or, oh, this is, maybe we shouldn't focus on the money thing right this minute, because I can see that it's stressful or I can see that you're hurting. And it sounds like you figured out that dance.
Yeah, of what to focus on. Actually, let me share a quick story. I started doing some jujitsu. I love martial arts, and I did some.
Oh
jiu-jitsu.
my goodness, this is the season of jujitsu on Marriage Therapy Radio right now. It's come up in the last 4 interviews, so I can't wait to hear what you got. The last episode or 2 episodes ago was some guy who's like a super triple black belt, 5-stripe dangerous person. So
that's so cool. Well, I'm the total like I don't even have a white belt. I'm still at a leather belt. But I went in and I was going. This was years ago when we first married, and I was really fit. I was really strong, and the instructor was about 50 pounds lighter than me. And in my head, I'm like, this is really unfair. Like I'm gonna squish this guy. Well, he just worked me, absolutely demolished me every time. And finally, in exasperation, I'm like, bro, like you're just killing me. How are you doing this? And he said, hey, where the head goes, the body follows.
Okay.
Now, I mean, that was mind blowing for jujitsu, but for life, it's even better. Like what you focus on, you feel. What you focus on, you find. Like where you focus goes, energy flows, right? Like where you take your drive and desire, your sight, your vision, that's what you end up creating and perpetuating. So just like you were saying, it is one of the most powerful and important principles. Like get clear about what you're looking at. What are your targets? What's your aim? Where are you focused?
What do you say to people? What do you say to people who lead with their feelings? Like I can't think that because I don't feel that way, or I can't how do you help people, or how do you imagine helping people think about the opposite?
I think that I'm a very feeling person and I lead with my feelings. So I think that there's...
And I say, feelings aren't facts.
Yeah. And I'm like, they are to me.
How's that go?
Well, I think it's a great balance.
It's a good balance because, and that's kind of where I'm going. Like feeling is not a bad thing, but we do have to, I think, learn to get purity of feeling. Like we have to learn how to discern and weed out the misleading feelings to the truthful feelings. And sometimes it's just a matter like the misleading feelings are unprocessed emotions or things that we need to work through. And when we do that, then we get this clarity. So it's almost like it's blocking the runway. And when we learn how to clear that. So I pay attention to the feelings that come up because they're clues or they're signs of, oh, this is something that's been unaddressed or unresolved or some trauma or some block. And when I pay attention to that and then I work on removing it, then I can get back to what I call the higher level emotions that then I think can become a real guide to you. Like they really can guide your life, but they have to be higher level. Like you have to move through the lower level ones and reduce them and process them as much as possible.
How do you do that? How do you, Rachel, do that?
I do it. Luckily, I have a great husband that listens. So that's one way I do it. But I also will do it.
After he says feelings aren't facts, then he locks into his
Your
listening.
feelings aren't facts. She's like, well, let me tell you all about my feelings.
And I'll tell him sometimes. I'm like, they are facts to me.
In all sincerity, though, like listening was a game changer. And I was not always a good listener.
Yeah.
But finally, like after lots of friction.
And
she was
reading
like,
the right book.
She's like, I just need you to sit there engaged and just listen. Don't try to solve things. Don't try to fix things. Just let me talk. I was like, oh, I can do that. And I became a listener so she could then think and process out loud.
Yeah. Because a lot of humans think by talking, right? And so that, at least for me, is a very helpful tool to be able to talk to him because it helps me to think and process my thoughts. But another thing I do is writing. So I do it, not journaling, because journaling is like, oh, you're saving your precious thoughts for the next generation or something. It's not that kind of stuff. It's like I take a scrap piece of paper and I just write out everything I'm thinking and feeling. It's uncensored. It's unfiltered. It's as horrible, vulgar as it needs to be. And I just get that out. And then I will also, now I've started using Chat GPT to help in that process where I'm just like, okay, here's some of the thoughts I vomited out. Help me make sense of it. So that's been helpful too. And, kind of reduces some of his load.
Responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah. I still like to turn to him because that can help us bond, but it's also helpful to do that and then come to him like, okay, here's what I processed so far. Tell me what you think about it.
Yeah. What happens to that scrap piece of paper?
I throw it away.
Yeah.
Rip it up, burn it.
And is that part of it for you?
I think it's definitely part of it because the idea is to like get rid of that. It's not something you want to keep or hold on to. I'm not like, I'm not saving this.
Yeah.
It's like I'm eliminating this negativity or this blockage.
I was once coaching a sweet lady who her marriage had been rough for 27 years. And she had kept journals of all her bitterness and pain and hurt for 27 years. She had stacks and stacks of journals. And I was like, man, like you're literally and figuratively holding on to the bitterness. Like you gotta let that stuff get out. So that's kind of the principle there, the idea.
Yeah. You hinted at it, but when you said it, I wanted to ask, like you said, when I learned to listen, how did you learn to listen? Was reading the right books, or maybe it was getting, instructed by Rachel. But when you think about like me as a man, the way I made this transition, how do you describe it?
Yeah, it's a very specific skill set. Some of it came from reading. Most of it came from her specifically saying, well, no, I don't want you. Because I was like, oh, fine, I'll listen. Cross my arms, sit here and be like, oh, here we go. Right? That's not listening. We hear, men, laying on their bed with a pillow over their heads, like, okay, go, I'll listen to you now, or just disengage. She's like, no, I want you to look at me. And then she's like, I actually want me to hold my hand and sit next to me while I cry or process. I want you to be engaged. I don't want you to say anything unless I ask you, just kind of be, acknowledging that you're right there. So she was giving me, and this took time to get to clear that, but it's like she was giving specific skills. I was like, I can do that.
But the truth is, I got that from reading books because before then, this is why we love reading things and discussing that. It like brings this validation. Like I didn't know before if that was just me and I was coming up with these weird requirements of like, this is what I want from you. But when it was validated in a book, like men are from Mars and women are from Venus, something like that, then I'm like, oh, okay, yes, that's exactly what I want. And so then it was easy for me to say, hey, remember we read in that book, like that's what I want you to do because that works for me. So,
Yeah, I don't know if you think about it this way, but I sure do with my clients. It's like sometimes you just literally have to invite somebody to use a different part of their brain.
Mhm.
Like, I appreciate that there's a part of your brain that wants to judge this and even solve it for me. I
Mhm.
need you to turn that part off and turn on the part that says, oh, that's interesting information.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take that in and like not do anything with it.
Right. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And I think, for me and maybe for many women, it's the listening part is a sort of validation of like, I can understand why you feel that way. You're not crazy. It's kind of like, I want to check in here of like, I'm venting my feelings. Am I normal for having feelings type thing, And so to me, that's part of the listening rather than the solving. It's like, okay, I just need a check here. Like, I can go solve some of these problems and I'll get your help on others. But first I need to know, am I normal? Am I human? Am I...
Or do you see me? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Do you acknowledge me?
Do you empathize?
See what I'm going through here?
Exactly. Right.
It's so powerful.
Mm-hmm. What, Greg, have you needed? Like, as you've come to appreciating kind of, I don't know, Rachel's able to say, I needed him to learn how to do this. Is there a reverse? Is there another story where you needed her to learn how to do that?
Yeah. More sex.
Okay.
That was like, because it was a big deal. I'm like, man, I want to have sex every day.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could go months because I'm all touched out and all the stuff. And so working through that understanding was super powerful.
How did you do it? How did you navigate that?
Conflict.
Well, and it comes back to reading again. I remember when I was pregnant with my 7th, and of course, this is natural. I was pregnant, I was hormonal, it was our 7th child, and I just remember thinking, at that time, I could go the rest of my life without sex, and I would be totally fine. Like, why? Why do you have this? Why are you making this additional demand on me? And because I regularly turn to books and research and looking things up, we'd had a disagreement about it again another night. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to get on. I'm going to prove my husband wrong, that he needs less sex, right? And of course, what I found was the opposite. It was like, no, I need to have more sex. That's the solution, because more connection is better than less connection. And so then that started a whole journey of me reading more about it and studying all these books, realizing that to me, I see the intimacy is like this circle where I bring this emotion, the emotional connection, the talking, having him listen to me, connecting that way, and he brings the physical connection. And as long as we keep that circle going, like we're good. We're connected very deeply, but we have to have both sides of the circle, because if we only have one side, then it's like a flat tire, basically. So
yeah. Okay, but I love that you're saying this, because it goes back to the question I actually have about thinking and feeling. Because if I said to women in particular, no, you just need to have more sex. Like, this is the thing. Like, and they're like, well, I don't feel like it, or I don't want, or blah, 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 blah. Like, how do you encourage, or is it this just a circle thing? Like, but how did you navigate through kind of the part of you that was emotionally like maybe not all that interested, versus then your brain saying, and still I'm going to do this? Like, how do you speak to maybe women in particular about making that transition?
I remember once we lead couples trips, and we led a trip to Thailand, and this kind of came up, and the wife was saying like, well, I just don't feel like it. Like, I'm exhausted. I have all these things, on and on. And I said, how would you feel if he came home and said that to you when you said, I need to talk, or I want to talk to you? And her face just like dropped, like, well, that would be terrible. That would suck. And so for me, I began to understand it from that perspective. If I need to talk to Greg, and I use need intentionally, because to me, it feels like this need, like I have to talk to you. I have to process this. I have to make understanding of this. And I came to him, and he's like, I'm tired. I'm busy. I've been talking all day.
People already talked to me today.
Like that hurts. That's painful. And so I started to see it that way, that for him, that's what sex was like. And so, yeah, even if I don't feel like it, or I'm touched out, or I'm tired, I make the investment because I want the outcomes. I want the connection, and I want him to reciprocate it when I need it, right? It's this give and take relationship. And so that really helped me with the whole process of just beginning to see it from a different perspective and to connect it to my own experience as well. You know, there's a lot of things we don't want to do, but we do them because they're good for us. Exercising, eating healthy, like whatever it is. We do that because we want the outcomes, not necessarily because we always feel like doing it. And to me, sex is just that way. Now, that was,
well, it makes it sound like it's...
I know. It's like a duty. It's not a duty
sex. Because that's no fun, right? Even I don't enjoy duty sex.
Yeah.
And so it was the first step of like, wait a
in
minute.
the mindset of like, no, I want the outcome, so I'm going to willingly engage. Now, of course, once I do that, I enjoy it. It's amazing. It's wonderful. But I have to, it's like we have to overcome the inertia of taking that first step of like, yeah, I'm going to do it because I want the results.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, obviously it's a delicate one because you don't want to be like, but I like just the idea of that there's just a reciprocity that is about how do I get what I want, not strictly like how do I give him what he wants or how do I give them what they want. It's more like I want intimacy, and part of that, part of the puzzle is physical intimacy or sexual intimacy. And thankfully, also it's emotional intimacy. And if we create a virtuous cycle, then we both get what we want.
Exactly. Right. And we're both more willing and happy and fulfilled. And so I'm thinking about how to meet her needs and really connect with her. And she's thinking about how to meet my needs and care for me. And it's awesome.
Well, and the other thing I began to understand that was so important for me is some women, I think, and because this was me, have this idea that we want our husband to love and cherish and cuddle and connect with us without it being sexual, right? And you know, it's like we're friends and there's no sex. And when I realized, because he would explain to me, he's like, the more I love you, the more I touch you, the more I see you, like the more I want you. And so I'm like, okay, well, wait, I want you to want me, and I want you to be attracted to me, and I want you to notice me, and I want you to pursue me. So I realized it was like almost delusional for me to think I could have that without it always leading to sex, right? Like it's you can't pick up one end of the stick without picking up the other. So once I realized that, I'm like, okay, well then that means I just need to be more sexual, right? I just need to be more open to that because it's directly connected. Because the alternative is I have a husband who ignores me. He doesn't pay attention to me. He doesn't fulfill my needs. Because I learned that men do that as like a survival strategy. They're like, well, I can't look at you and I can't touch you because I want to have sex with you and you don't want that. So I'm just going to like shut off and ignore you. And then the women complain because he doesn't give them any attention. So it's like you have to have, they're connected. You have to have both.
There's a author, like a literary person in me who wants you to tie it all up in a bow and make it make sense within the context of your philosophy about adventure. Can you do that? Can you do that? Is all of this that you're describing about your emotional and sexual intimacy journey somehow also connected to your commitment to seeing the world and living different lifetimes? I mean, how does that work, or do you know?
Man, I think if we saw it like our family as a wheel, like a wheel of life, 100%, it's one of the spokes, because that sense of adventure and risk and novelty and memories, like it adds like so much power and excitement to life, to every part of who we are and our relationship and what we're doing. It gives this spark and this fuel. So yeah, it's definitely connected. And now that our kids are older, Rachel and I do an annual honeymoon. So we go on a 10 to 14 day trip every year to some exotic, awesome place.
Everybody that's listening to that is like, what?
Yeah.
You do what?
It's all, and I remember the moment, it's like, wait, why did we just have one honeymoon? Like, that's the dumbest idea. We're going to be married for a long time. Let's honeymoon this all the time. But then we take like 2 or 3 day trips. We just got back from the UK. did it again. And so now we're actually on a rhythm where like, it's probably 3 or 4 times a year that the two of us just get away and we go somewhere special. And man, that brings back spark and romance and passion and fascination and discovery and all these special memories and connections. So yeah, it totally fits in to how we want to do life.
Yeah. What did you say at the top though? Like something about new worlds or everything, like seeing something that expanded your imagination, going to traveling or whatever. I mean, it sounds like it's that. As you maintain this sense of wonder about the world, it keeps you in a mindset of wonder about the relationship.
Yes.
Well, and like I think of it in a way as the hero's journey. When you take a trip, it is literally like a hero's journey because you're going into the unknown. It's terrifying. You have all these experiences. You have the low points of the trip or the adventure. You know, that's what makes it a real adventure is when you actually have obstacles, you know. And then you come out transformed. You're literally a new person with every experience you have and every adventure you go on because it changes who you are. But it's almost like you can take that same spirit of adventure and risk and going into the unknown into every aspect of your life, your marriage. Like, so it's almost like this part of yourself is developed that is willing to engage in embracing the unknown and moving into something that's unfamiliar and being transformed in the process so that you continue to progress and grow and deepen your relationship along the way. So yeah, it's definitely this hero's journey.
I heard you say you're writing books. I heard you say that you're coaching. If people are interested in learning more about you guys or hanging out with you, how do they do that? Is your book available? Do you have how do people learn more about what you guys are up to?
My book just got to the printers. So
Awesome.
So excited. It's for men.
Tell me about it.
The Formidable Family Man. And basically I just wanted to share like what I wish I had known earlier and the core principles and practices that help me as a husband and a father, a provider and a protector. And it's just a short book. I'm just like, I want to just get it down to its essence. Like what's in there that really helps a man be the very best version of himself.
Okay.
So I finally got that there. The audiobook's out, the ebook's out, and I just got it with the printer. So that is now available. It's super exciting. It's been a long time coming.
Everywhere? Like, can I find it easily, or how do we buy it?
Nope, not everywhere yet, but it's on the move there. So it's my website is formidablefamilyman.com. So it's the first place they can start. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And then we also do a podcast together. It's the Extraordinary Family Life podcast, and then our website is extraordinaryfamilylife.com.
There you go. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's been really cool talking to you. And again, I'm playing a lot with my clients around this idea of imagination and that kind of expanding opportunity and options. And so it's really interesting and lovely to hear about ways that you guys are doing that. So thank you so much for coming on Marriage Therapy Radio. And yeah, we'll point people in your direction and see if they can stay a part of your adventure.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So Greg and Rachel Denning, they're very cool. I appreciate their commitment to adventure. I hope that they inspired you to get out there and see what's out there. There is so much outside of our four walls, both literally, physically, in our environment, but also in our relationship. Sometimes we lock ourselves down into some very narrow perspectives, and it's worth expanding them, if only to feel like you have more options when you're interacting with one another. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of our Patreon community. Thanks for reading my blog, stuffIwrite.com. And thank you for the time and attention you're putting into making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.